Buddha bhava samanvitaha. Somebody can read the translation.
I am the source of all spiritual and material words. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So 10.8 to 11 is called Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. So as we had discussed before, essence Upanishad says Bhagavad Gita. Sarva Upanishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana. So all Upanishads are compared to cow. The essence of cow is milk, and Bhagavad Gita is said to be that milk. Now the essence of Bhagavad Gita is the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about Bhakti. Essence of 6 chapters is the 2 chapters, that's chapter number 9 and chapter number 10, because they talk about pure devotion service. And chapter number 10 is these 4 verses of Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. That's why these 4 verses are extremely important, beginning with 10.8. So in 10.8, Lord explains, so he says about his vibhutis. Vibhutis means his opulences. So what Lord says? I am the cause of all existence. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. So everything emanates from me, Lord says. So anything which you are seeing to be grandeur, something which is very attractive, very opulent. So Lord says all these things come from me only. Aham sarvasya prabho. So both spiritual and material worlds come from the Supreme Lord. And they come from Lord alone. So Lord is very clear. It's not that, no, okay, it comes from Shiva also and Krishna also, and this also, that also. No, he's very clear. Mattaha. Mattaha means it comes from me alone. In the form of Paramatma, the whole material world operates under the Supreme Lord. Sarvam pravartate. So everything emanates under Supreme Lord. Now, rather, even the avataras which appear come from the Lord. The propagator of various things like Bhakti, Tapasya, etc., like Chatuskumara, Narada, etc., they also come under the order of Supreme Lord. And then he sends devotees for sending Ananda Bhakti. So one who knows that, what he'll do, iti matva bhajante mam. One who knows that, one who is convinced that everything comes from the Lord, such an intelligent person will do the bhajan of the Lord. And how will he do the bhajan of the Lord? Buddha bhava samanvita. He will do the bhajan of the Lord with bhav of dasaras, sakaras, vatsal ras, etc. Buddha bhava samanvita. So that is how Lord is all pervading. So the all pervading aspect of the Supreme Lord. Now somebody can read the purport also. Just read the purport.
A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotion service of the Supreme Lord. He can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.24, it is said, Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam, Yo Vai Vedamsha Gapayati Sma Krishna. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again, the Narayana Upanishad 1 says, Ato Purushoha Vai Narayano Kamayata Prajasrujyeti. Then the Supreme Personality Narayana desired to create living entities. The Upanishad continues, Narayanat Brahma Jayate, Narayanat Prajapati Prajayate, Narayanat Indro Jayate, Narayanat Ashtavaso Jayante, Narayanat Ekadasha Rudra Jayante, Narayanat Dwadasa Adityaha. From Narayana, Brahma is born, and from Narayana, the patriarchs also born. From Narayana, Indra is born. From Narayana, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayana, the 11 Rudras are born. From Narayana, the 12 Adityas are born. This Narayana is an expansion of Krishna. It is said in the same Vedas, Brahmanyo Devaki Putraha, the son of Devaki, Krishna is the Supreme Personality. Narayana Upanishad 4. Then it is said, Eko vai Narayana asin, na Brahma, na Ishano, na Po, na Agni Samo Neme Dhyao, Aprutivi, na Nakshatrani, na Suryaha. In the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality of Narayana. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no water, no fire, no moon, no stars in the sky, no sun. Maha Upanishad 1.12. In the Maha Upanishad, it is also said that Lord Shiva was born from the forehead of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Vedas say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma, and who is to be worshipped. In the Moksha Dharma, Krishna also says, Prajapatim cha Rudram chapi aham yeva srujami vai tauhi mam na vijanito mama maya vimohito. The patriarchs, Shiva and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded by my illusory energy. In the Varaha Purana, it is also said, Narayanaha paro devas tasmat jatas chaturmukha tasmat rudro abhavat devaha sachas sarva gnatam gataha. Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from whom Shiva was born. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says, because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all. Everything is under me, no one is above me. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with a reference from Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So here we can learn something from what Prabhupada has written in the purport. So one thing which we can learn from Prabhupada, or Prabhupada wants to make devotees very aware, is that if one is very clear that Krishna is source of everything, one should not unnecessarily be bewildered by other commentaries. So this is something very much applicable for today, because we have a lot of things on YouTube nowadays. And unfortunately, what happens is many of our devotees also get bewildered. So lot of unauthorized commentators are there. They speak very beautifully while totally misguiding people away from the essence. That's why when we watch anything on YouTube or Facebook or here and there, we have to be very careful. These people should be bona fide devotees. And it's generally good to hear from the devotees whom you already know. You already know that no, they are bona fide. So Prabhupada is there, bona fide spiritual masters are there, and bona fide devotees from ISKCON we can hear from them. Otherwise, I'll give you some examples. Like one of the devotees have added me in one of the WhatsApp groups. So in the one of the WhatsApp groups, practically every fourth day I have to really speak something very strongly. And the reason was there were some naive devotees. They were sending any nonsense lectures on the group. as if it is very, very bona fide. Like one lady was there in saffron clothes. So they sent her lecture. The title of the lecture was, whether God exists or doesn't exist, how does it matter? Lecture itself was like very bewildering. I thought maybe content is okay. That's why this fellow has written. Send the lecture. So in the content, when I opened the content, what she had written? She said, in a house, if husband is like Ram, wife is like Sita, father-in-law is like Dasarath, and brother is like Lakshman, then what is the need of Ram? No need of Ram. Your family only becomes like, your house becomes like Ayodhya. I was so angry. This stupid lady doesn't understand. The goal of happy family life is to go back to Godhead. So we need Varnashram, we need happy family life so that ultimately we can go back to Godhead. The goal of life is not to just have a family life and not doom here in the family life only. That's not the purpose of family life. So such people, they speak in a very polished way and very appealing way to the people, but they don't understand that the essence of everything is to get Krishna Prema. Other things are secondary. So they dissuade or they deviate devotees from the real goal. Similarly, that one person, very famous person in India nowadays. He is very well known for his motivational lectures. And many people think that he's a theistic person. He is God's man. So this fellow was also speaking similar nonsense in that class, in his lecture. So he was saying that, why do you need Krishna in life? If Krishna is next to you, then can you take bribe from someone? Can you cheat someone? Can you hurt someone? You can't do any of these things. No. So we can't do any of these things. That means if you already have all these good qualities, then you don't need to have God, Krishna in life. So if you don't cheat someone, if you don't hurt someone, if you don't do any bad to someone, then you don't need Krishna in life. So then I thought, what a nonsense. This fellow doesn't understand that goodness in life is required so that it can help you to transcend goodness and come to the level of pure goodness and achieve Krishna. Hell with that goodness which takes you away from Krishna. Hell with that goodness. So many times people don't understand these things. So a simple episode in Mahabharata clarifies it. So during the Mahabharata war, when Arjuna was fighting with Karna, so at a point of time, Karna's chariot wheel was stuck in the mud. And because Karna wanted to compete with Arjuna, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, so he told that because Krishna the chariot driver of Arjuna, so I also want a king to be my chariot driver. So then he had employed the maternal uncle of Yudhishthira, Salya, as the chariot driver. And Salya is a Kshatriya. He can't do the work of a menial service. Krishna is supreme personality of Godhead. He can do anything. So what actually happened is that this particular Salya, he refused to take out the wheel from the chariot, from the mud. He told, I can't do, I am a king. I can't do all these things. So then what happened? Karna had to take out the wheel out of the mud. And when Karna was taking out the wheel from out of the mud, Krishna told Arjuna, shoot this fellow. Arjuna said, my dear Lord, it is against the war laws. We can't shoot him. He doesn't have a weapon in his hand. Krishna said, I am not asking you what to do, what not to do. So I'm not having a philosophical discussion. I'm telling you to shoot him. And Arjuna took the arrow to the arrow and he was about to shoot Karna. Karna then started speaking. Karna said that, oh, you call yourself as the beholder of Dharma? How can you kill me in such a adharmic way? You are not supposed to kill me. Then Arjuna starts thinking. Krishna said, why are you thinking? You shoot him. And then again Karna starts speaking. And what will you tell to the people that you have killed a person who is more powerful than you, just because of fear of him, and you are killing him in such a adharmic way, in such a irreligious way. Then again Arjuna became stuck. Then Krishna said, no, first I have to defeat this fellow only. Then Krishna told to Karna, he said, you beholder of religion, today you are talking about religious principles. Where was your religion gone when a queen of a state was about to be disrobed in the public just because you initiated disrobing? It is you who provoked Duryodhana and Dushasan to bring Draupadi and disrobe her in public. Where was your dharma gone at that time? You're talking about dharma. Where was your dharma gone when an innocent 14-year-old child Abhimanyu was unlawfully being killed by 6 great warriors, 6 Maharathis? Where was the dharma gone? At that time, you killed Abhimanyu and you were dancing with the naked sword in front of everyone. Where was the dharma gone at that time? Today you're talking about dharma. I'll tell you what is dharma. Whatever I speak is dharma, and whatever is against it is called adharma. That's the definition of dharma. And then Krishna told Arjuna, shoot it. And Arjuna shot the arrow, and Karna was killed. So the whole purpose of religion is to follow the order of Krishna and reestablish one's lost relationship with Krishna. There are so many nonsense, stupid people nowadays. They speak as if God and religion is a rule to bring a person to righteousness. So that's why devotees have to be very, very careful before hearing some people here and there. So we should be very, very careful to hear only from the authorized devotees of ISKCON. So this would be a practical application of our first verse of so iti matta bhajantamam buddha vasam. Madhunapur.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandaprana. Prabhuji, just related to the point, if you happen to see any kind of WhatsApp messages any message is wrong in the WhatsApp message, we understood as per authoritative scriptures that is wrong. But can we comment on that or not to comment on that if something is wrong?
It depends on how much time you have and depends on how many people are getting influenced.
Okay.
So if anybody sends me personally, if I feel this person has a capacity to hear one who has sent me, I reply. If I understand he cannot hear me, then I don't reply. And in a WhatsApp group, when I'm seeing a lot of people are getting influenced, especially devotees, that time I'm very strong. I gave a very strong reply at that time.
Yeah. I have just example. There is a one message is roaming in the social media, very popular, but it happens to received in one of the community group actually. There, like for example, A for apple, B for ball, something like that. In the similar fashion, they were giving all the sastric examples for alphabets actually. In that, for S, they were mentioned that S means son of creation of this material universe. So that is wrong as per scriptures. Then I just commented that with quoting the Srimad Bhagavatam reference. Yes, the universe Godfather, universe father is the Lord Brahma, is a secondary father, and primary father is the Lord Krishna. I just quoted that and I said back actually. So I thought to understand whether we can comment like that or not to comment like that.
It depends. That's what I'm saying. It depends on the type of audience you are having. I don't know what type of audience you are having.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of audience which we are having. And we can, rather than many times commenting, it's always good to question.
Okay.
Like now, I would have been in your place and I would have asked, Prabhu, what do you mean by son of material world? Then this person said, no, son of material world means son of, universal form. Then that makes fun. Then we'll say, okay, fine. Then we write a universal form. Don't write material world. So we have to basically, it's always better to cross question rather than like sometimes comment. And it depends on which individual has sent and what type of people are getting influenced.
Yeah, no, it's just like a blind forward for the people. That's it, nothing else. And it's not like an intention by a particular person. Like they will not. Since we are Yeah.
It keeps on forwarding. So then what
Yes.
we have to do is, the person who has sent us the message, we have to ask him. And depends on whether that person can hear us or not hear us. Like one devotee, what happened is he sent in one of the groups in which I was in charge. So he sent some sort of video which had some sort of Mayavast philosophy. It began very nicely, but then it ended with every child is Krishna. Every child is Krishna. So then I told this devotee, I don't know, do you agree that every child is Krishna? He said, no. Then what did you show in the video? Oh, no, Prabhuji, I just saw first 30 seconds and then I forward the video. I said, when you are sending a video, you have to see the whole video and then you have to send. Whole video was very good, but the end of the conclusion was poison. It was a Mayavad conclusion. So that's why we can cross question, depends. If it's like many people are getting influenced, we have to be careful and not to allow it.
Thank you, bro. Thanks.
Okay. So I'll pause it for some time before answering what Kalanpu has asked question. Can we hear lectures from Sri Sampradaya, their disciples? So what I would recommend is better hear from our devotees only. Some people who hear 4 or 5 hours a day, our devotees, they can hear. If you don't hear so much, don't hear. Makes sense. The reason is, what happens is that not just its philosophy, it is also a particular mood which pervades in the classes. And that mood gets disrupted when we hear from other sampradaya. So there's nothing wrong in hearing from other sampradaya, but the mood gets disrupted. Like for example, we have a Manjari Bhav. We want to become servant of Radharani. But again, if you hear Krishna is expansion of Vishnu, Krishna is expansion of Vishnu, Krishna is expansion of Vishnu, that mood gets disrupted. So if you see in Sri Sampradaya, so they're also pure devotees, but their way of worshipping Vishnu or even Krishna is pretty in on reverence, on veneration. It doesn't match with Vrindavan mood at all. Like in Vrindavan, when Krishna steals butter, he steals butter. It is a sweet pastime. But like if you see even the Alvars, when they write about Krishna stealing butter, as far as I remember, Alvars has written a song. So she writes, Krishna goes and steals the butter and he tells everyone, who will come and catch me? Ultimately, whole property of the universe belongs to me. So that mood is more of awe and reverence than the mood of Krishna stealing butter because of Gopi's love. So that's also truth. There's nothing wrong in that. But the mood is different. So our mood which Mahaprabhu has given is the mood of Vrindavan, Vrajavasis. That's like very sweet mood. So that's why I would recommend our devotees also to hear from ISKCON devotees only. Otherwise, initially, till you believe Krishna is God, Krishna is Vishnu Tattva is okay. As soon as you want to go beyond that, then things are different. Mood is different. So in long term, it may not be very good. And I know few devotees, I don't want to name, they're very senior devotees. They have even changed the sampradaya. Again, from they left ISKCON and then they joined the Sri Sampradaya. And the reason was that they couldn't see that grandeur and that purity the way they have in Sri Sampradaya. So the point is that our mood is a different mood. It's not just a mood of grandeur. It's not just a mood of purity. Our mood is more of a mood of being servant of Srimati Radharani. We are Gaudiyas. We are worshippers of Srimati Radharani. So our mood is different. So that's why I would recommend don't hear from others. Okay. Patriarchs, Prabhupada has translated Prajapatis as patriarchs. Prajapatis are the people who help in the multiplication of the population. Okay, Pradeep.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu.
So now we'll go ahead. Go ahead with our recording also. So now we'll go to the second verse of Chaturshloki. Very interesting verse. Machitta madgat prana bodhayanta parasparam kachantasya mam nityam tussanti cha ramanti cha. Please read the translation.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Purport. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specially. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself, and in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish that highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in his abode. Lord Chaitanya likens the transcendental devotion service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them, there are few who are fortunate enough to meet the pure devotee and get the chance to understand the devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the hearts of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of the devotional service gradually grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, also that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavana, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually, as a plant grows fruits and flowers, the plant of a devotional service also produces fruits, and watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19. It is explained there that when a complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord. Just as a fish cannot live without water, in such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees. As stated in Bhagavad Gita itself, 12:13 and 18, Srimad Bhagavatam, Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. So in this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized soul in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literature, just as a young boy and girl takes pleasure in association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. So this previous verse is called more of a Sambandha Gyan verse, And this verse is more about abhidheya gyan. Abhidheya gyan means working on the relationship with Krishna. So we know sambandha abhidheya gyan. Sambandha means what is my relationship with Krishna? So Krishna makes it very clear in the previous verse. Aham sarvasya parvo matta sarvam parvate. That means we are part and parcel of Krishna. And if we are part and parcel of Krishna, what we'll do? We are supposed to become his devotee, buddha bhava samanvitaha. And how to do the devotion service in detail is given in this particular verse. That's called abhidheya. Abhidheya means working on that relationship. And prayojan is the goal. So goal is Krishna prema. So this particular verse talks about abhidheya gyan. Abhidheya gyan means how to practice devotion service. So the first thing which is given is mat chittaha. Mat chittaha. So chitta means mind. So the mind of the devotees are extremely greedy to relish name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. That's the meaning of mat chitta. So chitta means basically chetana, and also it means mind. So that's the first thing. So mat chitta. Second is mad gat prana. Mad gat prana means devotees maintain the prana in their body for serving Krishna. That means if they are said that leave Krishna consciousness, they will say there's no purpose of living. So like there are some people who are called annagat pranara. Annagat pranara means they live to eat. They don't eat to live, they live to eat. So if you tell them, no, you should eat only sattvic food, they'll say better to die. So it's better to eat, feast and die than to live without eating something very wonderful or something very delicious. So such people are called annagat pranara. Similarly, mat gat prana means devotees live for the pleasure of Krishna. If you tell them that no, leave Krishna consciousness, they'll say we prefer to leave this body than to leave Krishna consciousness. So that's the meaning of mat gat prana. Or it also means the prana also comes in the form of karmendriyas. So hands, legs, mouth, etc. Mouth means especially the speaking ability. They all come in the karmendriyas, which get energized through prana. That means they work for the pleasure of the Lord. So these are your hands, legs, etc. for the pleasure of the Lord. Then katyanta. Katyanta means they talk about Krishna. So Krishna is saying they talk about me and they glorify me. They glorify me, who is the ocean of sweet name, form, qualities, pastimes. So that means they talk about Krishna. That is the meaning of katyanta. And bodhyanta means explaining each other about the real nature of bhakti and real nature of Krishna. That means philosophical discussions. That comes in bodhyanta, and even the discussion about pastimes of Krishna. So that's the meaning of bodhyanta. Bodhyanta means enlightening each other. That is the exact meaning of bodhyanta. Enlightening each other about Krishna consciousness. And tusyanti cha ramanti cha. Tusyanti cha ramanti cha means they derive their satisfaction and happiness in bhakti alone. One who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness will not seek for satisfaction within sense gratification. One seeks satisfaction in sense gratification because one is not satisfied in Krishna consciousness. So tusyanti cha ramanti cha. Tusyanti also means that devotee is satisfied even at the stage of sadhana by trying to understand what they are going to get in future. Have you seen? It happens during studies also. Like now, especially during the time of I was preparing for IIT, we had to work very, very hard. But the very fact, the type of advertisement we had about what will happen when you enter into IIT was so fascinating that all austerities were looking like pleasures. So we are not able to, like, whole night we would be studying so hard, struggling with sleep. But it was looking so much pleasure. Why? Because the goal looks very wonderful. Although it was not so wonderful, but looked very wonderful. That's what we heard about. Same thing happened with the devotees in the stage of sadhana. So when they understand, my God, when we get Krishna Prem, this will happen, that will happen, how devotees would realize, and how Mahaprabhu would realize the perfection of life in the Gambhira. So by hearing about that, devotees realize even the austerities they have to undergo to get that goal. So that's called Tussanti. Yeah. And Ramanti means, again, they take pleasure in about their future goal, and also they enjoy with the Lord within their mind. In the mind means in the sense of performing services within the mind. Like we know the famous example of the priest for Prasthanpur, right? It comes in NOD. So he would be offering water from different rivers and doing the abhishek of the Lord. And he would be serving so many preparations to the Lord. And one day what happened is, while he was preparing sweet rice, he wanted to check whether sweet rice has become cold or not. And when he touched his finger, sweet rice was still hot and his finger was burnt. And really his finger was burnt, not just on meditation, it happened really. Seeing that, Mother Lakshmi started laughing like anything. So Lord started laughing like anything. Lakshmi was asking, why are you laughing? And Lord said, this is the power of meditation of my devotee. And then Mother Lakshmi said, that means he's perfect to come to Vaikuntha. Lord said, yes, immediately send a plane, bring him here. So that's the Ravanti. So in this way, devotees, they relish. So this particular verse talks about the basic, fundamental, powerful methods of Krishna consciousness. So Matchitta is the method of Smaranam. Bodhyanta is the method of Sravanam, because we get enlightenment by hearing. And Kathanta is the method of Kirtanam. So Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, these are the basics of Krishna consciousness. Now certainly, Madgat Prana would also mean Dasya or Pad Sevana. So that is also there, but basics are Sravanam, Kirtanam and Smaranam. So Lord is revealing all these three of them in this particular verse. So now we may not be having such ecstasy of, like a fish cannot live without water, similarly we cannot live without Krishna. That may not be there, but even these basics will ultimately lead to perfection at a point of time. Okay, Manjunath.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanapana. Prabhuji, here hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, it understands very base pillars of Krishna consciousness. But Madgat Prana, when can we get that stage, Prabhuji? Madgat Prana.
It will come eventually. Like, I don't know about you. Can you live without chanting Hare Krishna?
No.
So then Madgat Prana only.
When we don't read that day, it's like a demon only.
Yeah.
When we don't chant that 16 days to 16 mala, I think we can feel like a demon only. So
Don't try it.
no, not like that. I can sense it actually. I mean, I can sense it. Probably my wife can tell me like nicely. Why? Because the behavior she can understand actually. So
it's not just behavior. Even let us say behavior is not going bad. But we can't live without chanting. We can't live without reading, hearing. That's meaning of Madgat Prana. We can't live without practicing Krishna consciousness. We can't live without bhakti.
okay.
So already it is happening with devotees.
Okay.
I think so. I also tell all the devotees, don't chant for one day. No spiritual master will trouble you. No devotee will say anything. I don't think so. Devotee will stop, even if nobody comes and complains and says anything. So that means Madgat Prana. Devotee live for the pleasure of Krishna. Okay.
But sometimes hearing may fluctuate. What should we do that time?
That's a struggle. But main thing is if you are struggling, that means it is Madhgat Prana only.
Okay. Thank you.
See, doing it because it is told is a different thing. Why are you chanting? What to do? Devotees are behind me, and I have anyway got initiation. How can I speak like to my spiritual master? So let me chant. That's not like the way devotees feel like before chanting. Chanting is chant because that's the name of Krishna. How can we live without chanting? That's the meaning of Madhgat Prana. Not that we are chanting because somebody has forced us to chant, or there is a public pressure on us. Devotees are creating trouble. Or your wife will go and complain to the temple if you don't chant. So that's not the exact reason. Okay.
Yeah, it's clear, Prabhu. Thank you.
So I think this data pack may be over. Looks like that. Maybe in 5 minutes. So then I'll have to take a break for 5-10 minutes to again get it recharged. Okay. So don't go away whenever it gets over. So now text number 10. So after Arjuna hears this text number 9, he has a question in mind. He said, fine, I understand that your devotees relish bhakti like anything. They are very happy. They are so joyful. They are visually situated beyond the modes. But by what method they get contact with you? That's very important. By what method they achieve you? They are happy is okay. But they are supposed to achieve you also, not because you are the goal. By what method do they achieve you? That question is there. And then Krishna answers that in text number 10. Tesam satadayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yen mam upyantite.
Yeah, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Purport also.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Purport given by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Buddhi Yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of Buddhi Yoga. Now, Buddhi Yoga is explained. Buddhi Yoga itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yoga means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, directly to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called Buddhi Yoga. In other words, Buddhi Yoga is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed. But the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in Karma Yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in the mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in Gnana Yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, which is complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfection stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to the spiritual organization, but if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Hare Krishna.
What Lord says is devotees don't have to worry about it. That's the essential meaning of this particular verse. So what Lord says, I give them that buddhi yoga. And if you remember in the chapter number 2, buddhi yoga was mixture of 2 yogas. Somebody remembers still? What were 2 yogas in second chapter when he talked about buddhi yoga?
Sankhya Yoga, Prabhuji. Question, Prabhuji.
Okay. It was mixture of Niskam Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. In some verses, it was explained when Buddhi Yoga was spoken, Niskam Karma Yoga was spoken, and in some verses, Bhakti Yoga was spoken. That's on chapter number 2. So when Krishna is speaking Buddhi Yoga here, he's speaking about Bhakti Yoga only. He's not speaking about Niskam Karma Yoga. Because in even chapter, middle 6 chapters, we're talking about pure devotion service. So Lord says, I give them that Buddhi Yoga or Bhakti Yoga to those to whom I give Satati Yukta Nam, who desire that constant association with me. Now, somebody doesn't want to be constantly associated with Krishna, then why will Krishna give that yoga? There's no need at all. That's why we have to ask ourselves, are we ready to be with Krishna 24 hours a day? Do we really want it? Do we really desire it? If we desire it, Krishna will give that buddhi. Otherwise, many times what happens is we have some separate time. This time is for Krishna, this for my sense gratification. If you really want to be with Krishna all the times, Krishna will give you intelligence how to be with him all the time. So then Lord says, yes, if you want it, I'll give it. Satat Yuktana. That means Lord alone is the cause of Bhakti Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. So either through the medium of devotees or he himself causes that Bhakti Yoga. So Lord says, I alone appear in the functions of their minds. They don't have to endeavor. If they are sincere, who will do the work? I will do the work. And then he says this Buddhi Yoga can't be attained at all from any other source. It appears on its own. So neither through austerities, piety, philosophical understanding, intelligence, high birth, one cannot understand Supreme Lord. It appears on its own by the mercy of the Lord. So Lord says, realization of me comes from me alone, through the medium of devotees. So by bhakti they attain me, and they attain my association. Upayantite. Upayantite means these people come nearer to me, they become our eternal associates. So those who want to be 24 hours with the Lord, those who practice the bhakti the way it was given in the previous verse, then what happens is, Lord give them an opportunity to come near to him. If somebody doesn't want Lord to be nearer to him, why will Lord allow him to be nearer to him? Then one may get to know some liberation like Salokya Mukti, where you go and worship the Lord for 2 hours and come back and stay with happily with your family other times. Play around with your kids and be happy. But if you want to be 24 hours with the Lord, if that intense desire is there, then Lord will give that opportunity. So such a person can come. And that's why Lord says, no, one cannot obtain the Lord by any other methods. So I quoted this verse by Hanumanji last time also, right? Some devotees. That na va na buddhe nak testo setu yanopi seshta and apino manasat takar sakke batagarts manal. My dear Lord, you can only obtain by beauty or intelligence or any other thing. If this was so, why did you make friendship with monkeys like us who have none of these things? We neither have a high birth, nor we have intelligence, nor we have beauty. We don't have any of these things. Still you made relationship with us, O elder brother of Lakshman. That means You are pleased only by bhakti, nothing else. So that is how Lord is pleased only by pure bhakti, nothing else. So this is a buddhi yoga Lord is talking about. And Prabhupada writes that such a person, even if he is not very intelligent, Lord will enter in the functions of his mind and give that intelligence. That Lord further elaborates and emphasizes on that point in text number 11 also. Because Lord's, because Arjuna still has a confusion. He thinks, how without function of knowledge or intelligence, how can one understand you? It's like, one, generally people think, we function only through brain. No brain means how can you function? Somebody without intelligence, how can you function? So how can somebody attain you or even strive for the goal unless until he is that intelligent? So how one gets that intelligence? Lord explains in text number 11. Tesanevanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nasami atma bhavasto jnana rupena bhasata. Please read the translation as well as the purport.
To show them special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Purport. When Lord Chaitanya was in Benares promulgating the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, thousands of people were following him. Prakashananda Saraswati, a very influential and learned scholar in Benares at that time, derived Lord Chaitanya for being a sentimentalist. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers criticize the devotees because they think that most of the devotees are in the darkness of ignorance and are philosophically naive sentimentalists. Actually, that is not the fact. There are very, very learned scholars who have put forward the philosophy of devotion. But even if a devotee does not take advantage of the literatures or of his spiritual master, if he is sincere in his devotion service, he is helped by Krishna himself within his heart. So the sincere devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness cannot be without knowledge. The only qualification is that one carry out devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. The Mayavadi philosophers think that without discriminating, one cannot have pure knowledge. For them, this answer is given by the Supreme Lord. Those who are engaged in pure devotion service, even though they be without sufficient education and even without sufficient knowledge of Vedic principles, are still helped by the Supreme God as stated in this verse. The Lord tells Arjuna that basically there is no possibility of understanding the supreme truth, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. Simply by speculating for the supreme truth is so great that it's not possible to understand him or to achieve him simply by making a mental effort. Man can go on speculating for several millions of years, and if he is not devoted, if he is not a lover of the supreme truth, he will never understand Krishna or the supreme truth. Only by devotion service is the supreme truth Krishna pleased, and by his inconceivable energy he can reveal himself to the heart of a pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. This is the special mercy rendered to the pure devotee by Krishna. Due to the contamination of material association, through many, many millions of births, one's heart is always covered with the dust of materialism. But when one engages in devotion service and constantly chants Hare Krishna, the dust quickly clears and one is elevated to the platform of pure knowledge. The ultimate goal Vishnu can attain only by chanting, by this chant and by devotion service, and not by mental speculation or argument. The pure devotee does not have to worry about mental necessities of life. He need not be anxious because when he removes the darkness from his heart, everything is provided automatically by the Supreme Lord, who is pleased by the loving devotion service of the Lord, of the devotee. This is the essence of teachings of Bhagavad Gita. By studying the Bhagavad Gita, one can become a soul completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord and engage himself in pure devotional service. As the Lord takes charge, one becomes completely free from all kinds of material endeavors.
In this way, in this verse, Lord says, he says that devotees don't have to worry. Who has to worry? I have to worry. They just engage in devotional service. It's not their worry, it is my worry. So it's my intention to give them mercy. They may not ask for mercy. They just engage in devotional service. It's my intention to give them mercy. So tesam evanu kampartham. I make that endeavor to give them mercy. They don't have to make any endeavor. And I become situated between in the function of their intelligence, Atma Bhavasto, and light their intelligence with the lamp of knowledge arising from bhakti. So this knowledge is certainly not the knowledge which comes from Sattva-guna. Sattva sanjayate jnanam. From Sattva-guna also knowledge comes. But this knowledge is different. This knowledge is Samvit Sakti of the Lord. This is the knowledge with the knowledge of the spiritual world. So one cannot understand the spiritual truths by knowledge coming from Sattva-guna. One can understand the spiritual truths only by the knowledge which comes from spiritual world. That is the knowledge of Samvit Sakti. So Lord says that I enlighten them from within. It's my worry. It's not their worry. So they don't have to worry. And this knowledge destroys the ignorance within their heart. So devotees don't have to worry about that. So certainly I do it only for devotees, not for others, not for yogis, etc. So I alone do this on my own. So they don't have to strive for that purpose. Who has to strive? I strive for that purpose. And Lord said that already I have spoken about my devotees, Yog Shyam Vahamyaham. I provide what they lack, preserve what they have. Similarly, I accept the responsibility of supplying all the spiritual and material requirements. So because I take the responsibility, devotees don't have to worry. Who has to worry? I have to worry. So there is a famous example of a disciple of Bhakti Sastri. He was illiterate actually. He couldn't write or read or anything. But he would be doing this service of gardening. So in the Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Mayapur, he would be just doing the work of gardening. You can see still there is a beautiful garden there. So one day Bhakti Sastri came to him and started asking a lot of philosophical questions. And this fellow was expertly answering all the questions. Bhakti Sastri was amazed. He said, "You are illiterate, you don't know how to read, how to write. How could you answer all these questions?" So he said, "Guru Maharaj, I cannot read and write, but at least I can hear. So whenever you give classes, I hear that. Whenever you translate, I hear that. So I continue doing my service here in garden and I hear." So that's why there are no impediments in Bhakti. Even if somebody is not very intelligent, somebody is not very educated, there are no impediments for him to progress in devotional service because Krishna takes the responsibility of enlightening such a person. So that's what Lord is clarifying here. So devotees don't have to worry. Lord says, I worry. One just has to continue with Krishna consciousness with best of his sincerity. One is doing that, that's enough. So this 8 to 11 is called Essence of Bhagavad Gita, the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Anybody who understands it, he will be free from misery. He will be completely joyful. And that is how this essence of Bhagavad Gita is extremely important. And when Arjuna hears this essence of Bhagavad Gita, he goes in ecstasy. And that's why now he is going to further request Krishna to hear more about Krishna by the further verses. So you'll find these verses are very, very sweet verses. The ecstasy of Arjuna would be, we can feel them in the coming verses. So that is the ecstasy after hearing Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna Vacha Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Sasutam Divyam Adi Devam Madam Vibhum Ahustam Rasya Sarve Devarsi Nardas Tatha Asito devalo vyasaha swayam cha vibrivisi me. Please read the translation.
Arjuna said, "You are the supreme personality of the Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the greatest sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirms this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me." Hare Krishna.
Yes. So Arjuna, because he desires to hear more about Krishna, so he begins with praising. He starts praising the Lord. So he says, Param Brahma, my dear Lord, you are that Brahman. Param Dhama. Dhama means abode, Dhama means body, etc. So you have that attractive body. You are Syam Sundar. Nobody can be more beautiful than you. Or it can also mean that no, you are the supreme abode. Similarly, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are supremely pure. Your body is not like a, and there is no difference between you and your body. And this also means that your body is purifying. It takes away the contamination of ignorance. So in this world, when we see other people's bodies, other metal bodies are entangling. To the degree we become affectionate to them, to the degree we become entangled in this world. But the effect of becoming attracted to Krishna's body is just opposite. That's why we should take darshan on the deities for a very long time. Because such darshan is purifying. Even if somebody takes that darshan of just lotus feet of Krishna, that itself is very purifying. Sanchittayet bhagavatas charanarvindam vajrankusha dhaj saroruhulanchanadyam uttunga rakta vidasannaka chakravala jyotsna virahata mahatrana mandakaram. So Lord has signs like Vajra, Ankush, Saroruhu. Each one of them have different effects. Anybody who meditates on the Vajra sign on the lotus feet of the Lord. So Vajra is meant for destroying the mountains. The thunderbolt of Indra. It has power to destroy the mountains. Similarly, when one meditates on this sign on the lotus feet of the Lord, mountains of sins and anarthas are destroyed. Similarly, somebody meditates on the Ankush. Ankush is meant for controlling the elephant. Once elephant-like mind is very difficult to control during chanting time, during hearing class, becomes controlled. Ankush. Jyotsnabir ahat mahadrana mandakaram. Similarly, the toenails of Krishna, they give the illumination of moon. They look like illuminating moon. What happens when meditating on them? The darkness of the ignorance within the heart is destroyed with the knowledge of Upanishads. The toenails of Krishna, by meditating on them, one gets the knowledge of Upanishads. So similarly, each and every part has an effect. So beginning with lotus feet till mouth, to lotus face. I'll tell something about lotus face also. So there's another verse for lotus face. Hasam harer avatana kilelok tibra. Hasam harer avatana kilelok tibra. Sokasusagam Vishoshanamavattudaram Sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya dhrumandalam munikrite makaradhajasya. This verse says, Hasam Hare Ravatanakhil Loktiva Sokasru Sagar Vishoshanamantadaram. So by meditating on the smiling face of Krishna, the ocean of tears which living entities cried after coming to the material world becomes evaporated. That means after coming in material world, living entity cries so many tears that the entire ocean will be filled. But this entire ocean of tears can be evaporated immediately by meditating on the smiling face of Krishna. Sammohanaya ratitam nijamayasya. Similarly, by his own internal potency, Lord has created these eyebrows. And these eyebrows, by meditating on them, one can counteract the arrows of Cupid. So Cupid has a sugarcane bow and the flower arrows. The specialty of the flower arrows is if somebody shoots you with flowers, you don't feel pain. You feel, oh, somebody should shoot more. Somebody beats a stone, then we don't want to be hit more. Somebody hits you with flowers, you want to be hit more. But still they're arrows. They have an effect. But Krishna's eyebrows, they also take the shape of bow. And Krishna's glances are like arrows. These arrows counteract the arrows of people. So that happens by meditating on Krishna's eyebrows. So that's how meditating on the deities are very, very powerful, extremely powerful. So Paramam Pavitram. And then Saswatam Purusam. Ahu. Therefore, all rishis speak out of your eternality, that your human form is not like temporary form of human beings, but it's eternal. So Adi Deva Vadam Vivo. So you are Adi Deva and Adam Vivo. Arjuna comes to the conclusion that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, after Chatra Shlokis or after seeing the Virat Rupa. Arjuna already knows Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but out of sweetness of Krishna, he forgets. Because of the sakharas, he forgets for some time. So Arjuna, in the mood of reverence at some time, but most in the mood of sweetness at all the time. So it's like, no, we may be having some friend who is at very high post, but then most of the times we forget that he's on the high post because of our intimate relationship with him. So that's the case with Arjuna. Okay, Kalyan too has gone in darkness. So this was answer for him. I think he got some friend's phone. He got in sakharas. Anyway. So then, further Arjuna speaks, next verse. Sarvam etadritam manne yanmam vadasi keshava nahi bhagavan vyaktim vidur devana danavaha. Please read that translation.
O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So Arjuna says, Evam etad ritam manne. My dear Lord, whatever you have spoken, I understand it in truth. So it's not that no, just because you have spoken that I am Supreme Lord, I have to believe in it. Or just because I'm your friend, I say that you are Supreme Lord, that's why I speak. I understand that you are Supreme Lord. But even Asato Devalo Vyasa in the previous verse, Arjuna says, I understand from their authority that you are Supreme Lord. So I don't doubt what you are speaking. I have no doubt about what you have spoken. But I have some other reason to hear about your divine opulences. See, many times what happens is, we tell other person to speak in detail because we don't believe in it. That is how interrogation happens, how CBI people and other people interrogate a person because they don't believe in it. But Arjuna says, I am not going to interrogate because of that. Rather, I have some other reasons. So what are the reasons? The reason is that even the rishis, they don't know the truth about you, as you had spoken before. So they don't know the truth. So they don't know how you have that Swarup of Parabrahma only. You are unborn, still born. You're Ajanma, but it still looks like now you're born from Vasudev or your mother Yasoda, Devaki or Yasoda. So whatever you spoke that neither devatas know you nor rishis you know, I accept everything. Why? Because yan mam vadati kesava. Kesava means ka is va. Va means bandhan, ka means Brahma, and is means Shiva. You can bind even Brahma and Shiva what to say of others. So there's no doubt about it. So Lord binds Brahma in Brahma Bhavan Leela. Lord lights binds Shiva in Varnasura Sangram. Shiva became very much bewildered and he starts fighting from the side of Varnasura. So Lord can put even great personalities like Shiva and Brahma into illusion what to say of others. So it's very clear that neither Danavas nor Devatas, anybody can know you. So none of them can know about you. That's why I want to know about you. So he's creating that background to ask the question. Because he wants to hear about the opulences of Krishna. And then now he starts glorifying Krishna with different names. And these are like very beautiful names. We'll discuss about them in great rasa. Great rasa in this verse. Swam evatmanatmanam vettam parsottama bhut bhavan bhutesu deva deva jagatpate. Please read the translation.
Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Each word has a meaning. So we'll take two meanings of this verse. So meaning number one. So Lord says, Arjuna says, your devotees know about your birth. You know, they know that you have birth and you don't have birth. It is possible for you because you are Supreme Lord, you can do anything. But how you do it, devotees don't know. They know you do that, but how you exactly, what is the method by which you do that, they don't know that. You alone know this method, Atmanam. And because you alone know that, you can only explain it. No one else can explain it. That's why I want to hear about your vibhutis, which devotees can explain. And then you are Purushottam. Therefore, you are Uttam, or the best among all the three Purusha Avtaras. Who are three Purusha Avtaras?
Sarvodaya Krishna, Karnadaya Krishna, Shirodaya Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, all these three Vishnus. Garbhodakshay, Karnadakshay, Kshirodakshay. They're called Purushottamas, three Purusha Avtaras. So you are Uttam, you are even better than them. Not only that, you are Bhuta Bhavan Bhutesu. So Bhut means those who have metal body. Bhut Bhavan means the creator of the metal bodies. So creator of the metal bodies is Brahma, but you are Bhutesa. You are controller of Brahma also. So you control even Brahma. Similarly, Devatas are those who play with others. But you are Devadev. You play with the demigods also. You want to have some pastime. You want to expand as the Gopas. You want to expand as the cows. And you entertain Brahma in between. You bewilder Brahma. You want to defeat Banasur. Have nice pastime. You bewilder Shiva in between. So you are Devadev. You bewilder even demigods. And similarly, you are Jagatpate. You have infinite mercy. So you are master of all the people in the universe, even the master of personalities like myself. So this is one meaning of the verse. And second meaning of this verse is even more sweet if you hear very carefully. So be very careful. Only if you are careful, then you can relate the sweetness. So initially, Arjuna says, Lord is Purushottam. Purushottam is Supreme Person. So then he says, okay, fine, you are Supreme Person. Then people may say, okay, you are Supreme and I am small. You stay in your place, I stay in my place. What is our relationship? No, we have a relationship. What is the relationship? Bhut Bhavan. Bhut Bhavan means you are father of all creatures. So you are our father. That is our relationship. But then father is not respected always and all the times. In a house, when children are small, wife respects the husband. When children become big, children start earning, the respect of the man goes down. And that's why it is recommended to take vanaprastha. Before you lose the respect, live respectfully. Because especially when someone else is there to earn, you lose your respect. And I've seen initial days, I don't know, initial days how things are different, but at least in earlier ages, when new wedded couple would come, husband would be like lion in the beginning. Whatever he roars, wherever he speaks, everybody follows. And after elder son starts earning, wife starts roaring. Mother starts roaring in the house. And father has to somehow manage himself. This fellow becomes a victim. And this is one of the reasons why he is recommended. Live respectfully before you lose respect. So that's why Bhut Bhavan. So I do not think this is not very appropriate word for Krishna. Krishna is always respected. That's why he used the next word, Bhutesa. You control all living entities at all the time. So why father loses respect at a particular point of time? Because he loses control after some time. After some time, no, you cannot tell wife, especially non-earning, I am saying, that no, you have to follow that. Wife will say, no problem, I'll not follow and I'll take the things from my son only. My son has started earning. So I don't have to depend on you. So respect is gone. But Lord is controlling it all the time. Bhutesa. So that's why he is worthy of worship at all the time. But even some people who are controllers at all the time are many times not the people worthy of worship, like Hiranyakasipu. He was controlling everyone. People may be worshipping him out of fear, but he was not worthy of worship. So when Arjuna, some sound is coming from somewhere.
I just muted.
Okay. Again, she is unmuted herself. Now she is unmuted. So what happens is then Arjuna thinks this is not very appropriate word. I should call Lord by another word. So he calls the Lord by Deva Deva. Demigods are worshipped, but you are worshipable even by the demigods. So you are not like personally like Hiranyakasipu who is not worthy of worship. You are worshipable by everyone. But then he starts thinking, even demigods cannot give protection to the dependents at all the time. For example, Prabhupada is one of the morning walk lectures. So he was asked a question which is like one of the famous questions in India. So people quote those who are Shivites, they quote, even Lord Ram worshipped Lord Shiva in Rameswaram. And then Prabhupada asked, what did Lord Ram do after worshipping Lord Shiva in Rameswaram? Or before that, any of the cases. So this devotee said, he killed Ravana. And then Prabhupada said that, who was Ravana? Whose devotee was Ravana? Lord Ravana was the devotee of Shiva only. So then Prabhupada said, that if it is so, who will take shelter of Lord Shiva when he hears it? I take shelter of Lord Shiva today. Tomorrow someone else comes to take shelter. Tomorrow some person who comes to take shelter and says, now I want to kill this person who has taken shelter before. That means this is not a secure shelter. It is such an insecure shelter. So the reality was that Lord Shiva couldn't avoid Ravana from getting killed by Ram. So Ram killed him anyway. And he worshipped Shiva just to set an example for ordinary people that you should do demigod worship. That's all. If you are not a devotee, so do demigod worship, you should perform karma kanda. So that's why Devas cannot give protection all the time. That's why Arjuna uses the word Jagatpate for the Lord. Because husband's responsibility or the first responsibility is to protect the wife. For protecting Mother Sita, Lord Ram burnt whole Lanka. He killed all the demon. He finished all the demon dynasty. So that's the first responsibility of the husband. That's why, my dear Lord, you are Jagat Pate. You are the ultimate protector of the entire universe. So in this way, with all this contemplation, Arjuna speaks, glorifies Krishna with all these different words. And then he starts, now he comes to the point of placing the request for which he has spoken such a background. So he made this whole background for placing a request. So he's going to play the request now. Vaktum arhasi asheshena divya hi atma vibhutayah ya bhir vibhuti bhir lokan imam stam vyapta tishtasi. Please read the translation.
Please tell me in detail of your divine opulence by which you pervade all these worlds.
Hari Hari. So he says it's difficult to understand the truths about you, my dear Lord. Therefore, I want to hear about your vibhutis. Vibhutis which are very attractive. You may be a lot of vibhutis, but I want to hear those vibhutis which are very, very attractive. Divya hi atma vibhutaya. So those opulence which are very attractive, I want to hear about them. And please hear about them fully. So then Krishna says, fully? I can't explain fully. They're so enormous, I can't explain about them fully. So then he says, fine, may not be fully, but please tell me about the vibhutis by which you pervade this material world. May not be spiritual world. So at least tell me the vibhutis by which you pervade this material world. Because one of the reasons is because if we understand the vibhutis of the Lord within this material world, we can remember Krishna at all the times. Because we have to deal with matter. We have to deal with matter. So if we can see that connection with the Supreme Lord, how matter is connected with the Supreme Lord, that matter can remind us about Krishna. So that's why Arjuna said that please tell me about the vibhuti which pervade the material world. Till we see connection of the things with Krishna, they don't bind us. As soon as we stop seeing their connection with Krishna, they bind us. Rite artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyet chatmani tad vidyat atmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tabha. This is one of the slokas of Chaturshloki Bhagavata. So there Lord Narayana speaks to Lord Brahma, Ritiyam yat pratiyeta na pratiyet chatmani. If you see something as very valuable, but you don't see its connection with myself, tad vidyat atmano mayam. Understand that is Maya. Like how yatha bhaso yatha tamha. Sometimes in the darkness you may see some illusion. Like sometimes you may see that a bag is kept and there is a blanket kept above the bag. In the darkness, what happens is you feel somebody is sitting in the chair. Nobody is sitting in the chair. It's just a bag covered by a blanket. Looks like somebody is sitting in the chair. Or a rope looks like snake. So it may happen like that. But that is called Maya or illusion. Because anything which has a capacity to attract us in this world has to have connection with Krishna. It has something to do with the opulence of the Lord. That's why it is supposed to remind us of the Supreme Lord. Let us talk about beauty. You say somebody's hairs are very beautiful. That means they must be closer to Krishna's hairs. Somebody's nose is beautiful. Means it must be having some connection with Krishna's nose. So any part of somebody's beauty is there. Somebody is very eloquent speaker. He has some part of Krishna's eloquence of speaking. So each and every opulence in this world has to have some connection with Krishna. That's why it should remind us of Krishna. It should remind us of Krishna. And that's why Arjuna is asking for this detail of opulence. So why am I speaking about it? Because many times devotees hear, I am this and that, this and that, this and that. So then they really wonder, okay, fine. How does it matter to us? No, the whole purpose why Krishna is going to speak about his opulence is for that purpose. So that we see the opulent things of this world and this will remind us of Krishna because we see their connection with Krishna. So that has to be very, very clear. Okay. So then we'll go to the next verse. Katham vidyam aham yogims tam sada parichintayan kesu keshu cha bhavesu chinto asi bhagavanmaya. Please read the translation.
O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Yeah. So, O Lord, one who possesses the Yoga Maya Shakti, Yoginaha, how can I think of you, know you at all times? So that is the actual purpose of Vibhuti Yoga. I am a Grasta, I have to deal with matter at all the time. Even Brahmacharis have to deal what to serve Grastas. Then there is a tendency to forget you. But I don't want to forget you, I want to remember you at all the times. So Kesu Kesu cha Bhavesu. Tell me all the ways in which you pervade the world, because if I can remember how you pervade the world, I can remember you at all the times. So we should remember the purpose. The whole purpose is to remember Krishna at all the times. So that's the whole purpose. So how can you, I think you about you at all the times? Because of course you have told, Bhaktya ma abhijanati, by bhakti I am to be known. So by bhakti you are to be known, but when it comes to the sense objects of this world, by seeing them, how can I remember you? Because one of the aspects of bhakti is smaranam, machittaha. So then I have to remember you. But how can I remember you? So how can I remember, perform bhakti by thinking of you in various objects? So that's what is Krishna's, Arjuna's question. And then he again continues his, what do you say, request. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kathai triptirhi sanvato nasti me amritam. Please read the translation.
O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. But the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words.
So when Arjuna speaks like that, Krishna says, Arjuna, you are asking the same question again. I have already answered you. Aham sarvasa prabho. I pervade, no, everything emanates from me. That means automatically whenever you see anything, you should remember that everything is coming from Krishna only. And by understanding that everything is coming from the Lord, iti mattva bhajante mam, you should practice bhakti yoga. Why are you asking same question again? Then Arjuna speaks the real reason. He says, my dear Lord, I want to hear about your vibhutis in detail. Why? Because you are Janardana, Janardana. You agitate the heart of the living entities by your instructions. You agitate their heart in such a way that the living entities long for you. They long for your association. They long to hear from you. So it is you who has created a longing to hear about your vibhutis in my heart. So my ears have become like the tongue by which I want to taste the nectar of your words. I want to hear from you more and more. So what you spoke is in a seed form. What you spoke is, okay, Am Sarvasa Prabho Mata Sarvam Pravatite. I'm not satisfied by that. I'm not satiated by that. I want to hear about you in more detail. So please explain to me in great detail about yourself. Because I am not satiated about from hearing about you. So Lord's name is Janardana. Janardana means one who agitates the heart. And all devotees can experience it very easily. Now, many people come to temple thinking we'll get peace of mind. But when they come to ISKCON temple, do you get peace of mind?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
First 3 years.
I didn't get peace. I didn't get peace till now. I got only services.
Exactly, I'm about to tell Prabhu. Services.
No peace. There is no peace in it. You can get bliss. You can't get peace. So that is what I saw. So we come for peace, but we don't get peace. We may get bliss. So I have an episode about that. I remember long before when I was studying. Now you can imagine something around 2007 or 2008. So regularly we would be going to Pune for some camps, yearly or once in 6 months, like that. So we are going for the camp, and at that time we had around 50 devotees in our youth center. So we all were going in the train. So all the places were occupied by our devotees. One man was one man out, odd man out. So he was not a devotee, and he was some Odia person from Orissa. And we requested him, my dear sir, no, can you go and exchange the seat? There is a devotee in another bogie. You can sleep there, and our devotee can come here. And this was around 10:30 in the night time. He said, no, how can you deprive me from the son of devotees? I want to be with devotees. We thought, no, my God, this person is so eager to become Krishna conscious. We should allow him. So he tried to, so it was 10:30, and by the time devotees had settled, it became 11 o'clock. And as you know, devotees are transcendental. Some people sleep at 12, some people get up at 12. So there were few devotees who got up at 2 o'clock only, and they started chanting. And this fellow was again peeping through his blanket and looking up. Okay, this fellows are chanting. And he was getting pretty purified. I got up in the night, so I saw him. This fellow was peeping up, and so then he was telling Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I told, yeah, it is just a beginning. 4 o'clock, all the devotees came there. They all started chanting. And this fellow thought, how much to sleep now? He also got up, and he was not chanting, but somehow dozing and getting up and seeing around all the people and somehow chanting. Till 6 o'clock, all the devotees chanted. And then devotees came from Aarti. So more devotees gathered there, and then we had this, our sound box, and Mangalati started 6 o'clock. Sansar, Davan, and Lidaloka. And this fellow was also clapping. So Mangal Aarti, and then Narsingh Aarti, and then Tulsi Aarti. And then he said that, how many Aartis you have? We said, no, only one more is there. No. We have Guru Puja now. And then devotees started dancing, and this fellow was looking here and there. And then he said, after that, what is there? So he was expecting some prasad. But we said, no, we have Bhagavatam class. So then now there was Bhagavatam class, and our in charge of the voice was in great ecstasy. And instead of 1 hour class, it became 2 hours of class. And this fellow was waiting, and then prasad came. So then he took prasad, and he was at least specified by now prasad came. So he took prasad. And then he told, so we have not slept enough in the night time. So can we take rest? And devotee said, there's no rest in Krishna consciousness. And immediately devotees picked out the book bags, these books from below the bogie. And then one devotee started, counting everything. And they said, now we'll go for book distribution. So then devotees were like moving here, moving there. And this fellow became so frustrated. He said, my dear sir, can you be quiet even for a minute? For a minute, give me some peace. Can you be quiet for a minute? Devotee said, no, we can't be quiet. Already we told you that you can exchange the seat from there. Immediately he packed his luggage within a minute and he said, tell me where is your seat. So that's why Lord is called Janardana. He agitates. He agitates the life of a devotee. You don't have peace, you can have bliss. You can chant and dance and feast, but no peace. Anyway, all of you cannot escape now. Already you are addicted to Krishna consciousness. So we don't have to worry. So that's why Lord is called Janardana. So when Lord hears such a request of Arjuna, that he's so eager to hear about me. So Manjunath Prabhu has some comments.
Not a comment, bro. When will get a peace then?
Peace. You will not never get peace. You will get bliss.
Okay.
If you want to get peace, then you have to go to some Mayavadi organization. And then eternally you can rest in peace in Brahmajyoti.
Don't bless me like that, bro.
No blessings. I'm just saying. So you can get a positive aspect of Krishna. You can be blissful here, and blissfully you can be there in the spiritual world. But no peace. But anyway, in the spiritual, you don't get tired. I know the devotees get tired here.
100% agree, Prabhu.
Yeah. So I also get tired. Sometimes, despite getting tired, you keep on getting services. I'm getting some peace here in home now. So here also services are coming. I sometimes switch off the mobile so that I don't get services. But anyway, you're in home only. So you can talk about peace. You have to go somewhere out. So then Krishna starts, when he hears about Arjuna's request, then now he becomes ready to speak about his devotees. So what I'll do, I'll just take 2 verses because then the flow would continue. Or I think because it's going to create a background for Vibhuti Yoga, so I won't take it further. I'll take it in the next class only. So we don't want to play and mix the sections. Because the first 2 verses are like the basis for the rest of the Vibhutis. So we don't want to separate them. So we'll continue with the Vibhutis in the next class. We don't want to touch them because then 15 minutes we cannot complete all the Vibhutis. Not possible. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class. We'll just take questions. Okay, Susaka question, Arjun.
Hare Krishna. Like we were discussing about peace formula. So generally for devotees there is no peace, and yeah, of course bliss actually. But what if you're not able to experience that bliss also, especially when we are in a devotee in a congregation of a devotees, and we're not able to experience a bliss most of the times. So we are in a mixed devotees. When we start, sometimes there is a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of sometimes it goes to such an extent, even blaspheming of devotees and even shoutings also. So that times we experience not a bliss, at least we get so much of disturbances in the mind also. So in such kind of a situation, how to handle it?
Actually, we have to immerse ourselves in the core aspects of Krishna consciousness at that time. Core aspects.
Okay.
Core aspects means kirtans are there. Then the aspect of reading Bhagavatam from long time in the son of devotees. These things nourish. So things which are related to matter, like services especially. So services become spiritual through service attitude. Okay. So what happens many times in the initial days, we don't have that attitude, and that's why services become a source of trouble for us. So as soon as we see that that service attitude is losing, getting lost, again we have to hook onto the core aspects of Krishna consciousness. So Hari Katha and Hari Nam, these are core aspects. So having some long kirtans with the devotees, chanting with devotees for a long time, or just having Krishna Katha with the devotees, sit down with the devotees and discuss some pastimes, or discuss something from Bhagavatam. So these core aspects of Krishna consciousness, they are releasable. They give a great release to the heart. And when they give the release to the heart, then automatically again, that spirit of service attitude is rejuvenated. And then we can again come back. So that's why many times what happens is, because these core aspects of Krishna consciousness, many times they don't give a direct reward. They are not directly rewarding. Like now, if you chant your rounds very nicely, and no devotee would come and appreciate you for that, because you know that you have chanted very nicely. Similarly, if we are reading for a long time Srimad Bhagavatam or releasing Krishna Katha with the devotees, nobody is going to come and reward us. Whereas what happens is, when you do some services, there is a reward. Reward in the sense, gross reward in the sense that not devotees come and glorify, oh, what services you have done, this and that. And as a missionary movement, that is needed for us. But the organizational aspect of Krishna consciousness should never go ahead of Krishna consciousness itself. We should remember that. So it's an organization, certainly. We need the organization aspect and everything. But it should never be kept forward to the core aspects of Krishna consciousness. So different people have different ideals or different understandings. But as far as me personally is concerned, I would tell you, the people who are under me or who are helping me in different stuff, there are many devotees who are helping me. For me, their spiritual life, their health, their well-being, their relationship among the family members is a better or a stronger priority for me, or a top priority for me as compared to the services which they are going to render. As soon as our own needs come in the picture, we can't guide the people. So selfless service attracts a person. So generally, I inspire people to serve under me only when they come to ask for service. I just invest in people. So that's the best way. The best way of getting the services done is through inspiration. It should not be force. When it becomes a force, then it becomes a cause of irritation. All these things come. And when the person himself is ready, then, and generally we have seen, if you keep on investing, people are also not so ungrateful that no, they will not serve you. Actually speaking, just anyway, they not understand. Just now, in the afternoon, one devotee called me and he had some something related to career. So he wanted to come and help, and then you were telling, but if I compromise with it, it will compromise with my career. But at the same time, I don't want to displease you. I told you, and it was quite a main service for me. So I told him, I'm ready to sacrifice for your career. You go ahead with your career. So if we are selfless, we don't want to get anything from other person. Then that selfless spirit also inspires the selfless spirit within that person. And ultimately, we have to understand that it's not our service, it's Krishna's service only. We are just a medium. Krishna wants that service to be done, he'll send someone. And to the degree Krishna sends someone, he'll send. But best thing to do is to give that experience of spiritual world within the material world. Then people will understand there is something called spiritual world which is very attractive. So because people want some experience, it's not just something theoretical. See, Krishna is working so selflessly for us. Even the people who deny the existence of Krishna, Krishna is maintaining them. So each of us, when we are in that leadership position, we also have to have that selfless spirit. without expecting anything from that person. Keep on serving him, give him good guidance, give him Krishna consciousness, and that will, at a certain point of time, he'll also feel to become selfless, and he'll like to serve you. So when he's inspired, we can help him to serve Krishna rather than serving ourselves. So in any position, whether we are at the bottom of the movement or we are top leader of the movement, we should remember we are always servant. We serve everyone, and when people are ready for service, we help them to serve Krishna. So even the projects which we are holding in our hands, they are not our projects, it is Krishna's projects. It is the Parampara's project. And we help people to serve the movement and Krishna by serving in that projects. And we should serve them. We are servant of servant. So they are serving Krishna, we serve them. So if that spirit of servant is there, then people will not feel irritated, people will not feel disappointed, people will not feel hurt. Rather, people will feel cared. People will feel that selfless service. People will feel that selfless spirit. So that is how things will become sweet. It totally depends on us. So we may not be able to influence the masses, but we can influence some people. And let the things begin from there. Okay.
Thank you, Babu. Thank you very much.
Very okay, so we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Tagore Premanande.